Well, welcome to our student demonstration for reading skills for transfer students. This is Natalie, age 14, and she came to me last year from Illinois, so she's been with me 1 year. In the summer, as I mentioned before in the video, I like to try and cover a level of sight reading. And as you have seen in the previous thing, we have numbers of different things that you can use for sight reading. We try to do a level in the summer as close to it as we can. And Natalie's assignment is to do a page a day, which basically gets you 2 lessons of 10 in a week. So in 5 weeks plus this ending, we are using the 4-star book 4 for her. And then hopefully, if we get through our little schedule, she'll be starting book 5 in the fall, but she'll be doing 2 per month, 2 lessons per month, so that we'll cut it in half so she has more time for festival prep and things like that, but we'll keep it going. Now, Natalie has made it all the way to the back end of this book, and her assignment was to read 1 page of this per day. This is the back end of book 4, where they have 3 examples on a page. They're extra music because there is quite a jump between book 4 and book 5, and so this extra music is important. Now, Natalie and I have talked about a few of the basic things that she does before she reads. This is example 25 on page 56 if you're following. And Natalie, what are you going to do? You're going to read this little tab says this is where she stopped this week, so this is a brand new one for her. So this is not canned, this is live, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what are you going to do?
The first thing I'm going to do is look for the key details, like knowing what the key signature is and the time signature is, because that's going to determine how I'm going to play it. Then I'm going to try key topping, and key topping is when I finger along without making any sounds. So,
okay. Yes. And what's the one thing you're going to shoot for when you actually play it?
I'm going to try and keep going and not stop.
Right, and there's one thing that's important by that, isn't there? The tempo you start with.
Yes, stay with that tempo, but you want to make sure it's not too fast. You want to be able to handle it.
Right. Okay, so Natalie, I'm going to be quiet and let her prep this for you, and then she's going to play when she's ready. Okay, good. All right, that was a first read, right? Mm-hmm. All right, because we wouldn't want people to think we canned this and you came across like that with me prepping you before. All right, so what did you think?
I thought that it was pretty good. There were some times where I stumbled, but that's when the second time I do it, I'll fix it.
Okay, so you brought up a good point. How many times do we say that we do this before we move on?
2 times.
Right, because by 3 times you're starting to learn it, and then the value as a sight reading piece is gone. Mm-hmm. Now there is one thing you really left out.
Dynamic.
You left out every dynamic, and every measure almost has, she's supposed to go from loud in the left to soft in the right. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the line, forte, and then a decrescendo, and then back up to soft, loud, soft, loud. She didn't get any of that the first time. Mm-hmm. So our goal this time is to play with the dynamics added. And may I add, I didn't feel like you had much first beat accent, and so it kind of bogged you down a little bit. So think about that so we can feel that pulse of 3. Good, and on the second to the last, third last measure, your right hand decided to play 3 different notes, but you kept going, which is the whole key to this. You cannot accompany for a choir, you cannot play with the school jazz band as a pianist or any of it if you can't just jump over a beat you've missed and keep on going. It's a separate skill. So I moved the sticker, and she knows where she's going to finish up this week. Do you see that? So again, this is a thing that is very important. Now I want to jump one more thing back. Natalie, in a previous video, talked about the waltz in A flat major, and I also want to talk about reading issues with this piece. What did you find the most challenging to read?
Probably the left hand.
Because why?
It was hard to jump from note to note because it's not the same every time, so it's something different every time, along with the right hand at the same time.
So is that a reading issue or a technical issue?
A little bit of both.
Very good. Okay, that's what I would agree. There's the jump up and down, which is a technical issue, which because of today being a reading day, we're not going to cover that. Okay? But what would you do? Find me a place over here between measures 17 and 20 that we didn't do on the other video that you can use to show about reading.
I'll just go at 17.
Okay, so how are you going to approach this? Because this is really raw. You've barely touched this.
Yeah. So I'm going to do just right hand alone first.
Okay, let's go only as far as the repeat sign
Okay,
so we don't
yeah.
spend too much time. Okay,
So I'll do
Go
right
ahead.
hand alone first.
okay. Now, that was pretty good reading, but what did you notice when you played it?
No dynamic.
No, but what did you notice about the piece itself?
Oh, it didn't have it wasn't very lyrical. It was kind of just boring.
Is that Chopin's fault?
No, it's my fault.
It's your fault? Well, we won't say fault. But did you notice that there's 4 measures that are practically, at least in the right hand, the same?
Yeah.
Didn't you go da 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 dum ba dum ba dum bum bum? Now, I will say you had a rhythm problem here. You made 4 equal 8th notes. They're not, right? Ya da 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 dum ba da da dum. Now, how can we learn that to get beyond the reading part of it? What would you do in the right hand? I'm just using the right hand as an example.
I'm going to break it up a little bit more.
How?
The first phrase, or I'm going to go there.
Right, so you're going to take a picture in your mind of that whole measure. You're not going to read B flat C, B flat C, B flat, are you? Yada da 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 da, right? Go for it. Drop and go. And it already solved most of your problems, so you ended up going bent. Now start at the next measure, the C, come on down. Yum, ba-dum, bum, bum. I wouldn't. Okay, but remember how I told you to stay inside when you're mixing blacks and whites. If you're out here, you're going to have to reach in for the B flat. You don't want that. There you go. All right, now put the whole thing together. Yada-da-da-da-dum, ba-dee-da-da-da-da. So she chunked it in 2 parts and got that worked out. And so now she's beyond in the right hand the reading of each note, right? We never did that in the first place. Now, in the left hand, you have these dotted half notes with quarter notes above it. So you're holding these dotted half notes down. So if I were you, next layer, add these dotted half notes in here. Okay? This is based on video 3 of the beginning outlining. We're going to use that to make this reading go better. So you're going to play, what is that here to here? So you're just going to play. Okay, but it's going to come with the C, right? Bum, ba-dum, bumpy. All right, do that again. That fingering is never going to work, that 3-4. It's got to be a yes. G natural. Okay, so you're home and not under a camera. What would you do next?
Next, I would just ignore those and just do the chord.
Add your thumb. That's right. Now I'm going to be successful reading that in gestures, right? But I'm leaving out the bottom half note dot. Then 3rd or 4th swipe, add it in. So I'm not reading note by note at all. I'm reading gestures, right?
Yes.
And I've made it successful because I've allowed myself to layer it in instead of again, using outlining techniques to read better, right? I noticed when I started outlining how fast my reading went. Now, I want to talk about this little envelope trick to finish up our reading. When this isn't something you drive your student crazy with, but when you are working, let's say, in a sight reading unit, and she's over here, we're going to, just for fun, look at this. Actually, we're going to do this one up here that you just did. I'm going to let you do it a third time, because I used just a regular envelope. I cut it in half, break it in half, and it's pretty much just a little over the width. Now, in order to get those eyes to track across the keys and scan, another way we can do this, which works for their pieces too, is to start, I'm going to move that envelope, right? And I'm going to be a little bit of ahead of you so that your eye is forced. Now, this drives some people crazy, but you get the point. And this isn't something you torture your children with, you just give them a chance to experience it. So we're going to do this again one more time. It's kind of cheating to let her do it a third, but I'm just going to give her the eye of how this works. Was it awful?
Not terrible, no.
Well, I didn't do it on the first or second time, but it's just a way to train them to keep that eye going. And I just wanted to point out a little simple thing like an envelope, and with even your young children in the prep book, you can get them going when you first teach them with the envelope, getting them to go across, because you're pushing that eye across. Okay, and tracking it, okay? Well, we want to thank Natalie today for being in both our videos, 4 and 5, and helping us with the Chopin Waltz and also the 4-star reading, so that you can get a sense of how to work these things into the lesson so that they can get more done in a week. And we thank you for joining us in this segment.